Welcome to the Arts and Medicine Studio. Hi, Ishaan.
Hi.
Today we're going to think about a very dear friend of ours who inspired us to play with portraits. What are portraits? So many people describe it in so many different ways. When Wilma came to our studio not too long ago, she did fabulous work painting portraits and actually showing us how easy it is. And she gave us these acrylic tiles that were clear. And when you put it in front of you, you could see the person. And she painted over that and then made prints. Thank you, Wilma, for inspiring us to see that there's so many ways of making portraits. When I was young, there were things I wasn't able to share with my parents. We were going through a difficult time. I took a piece of marble that I found and I used a hammer and a nail at that time to just cut the marble, try to figure out things to do with it. And that way, in a way, scratching it, making holes in it, and smoothing the surface out made me feel better. So in a certain way, I just wanted to do faces, and I didn't realize it was kind of faces of myself. For example, this piece that I made quite a long time ago, where I just carved the alabaster all the way around, was a way for me to make a discussion. I called it a thought. What makes one thought in my mind visual? So, Ishaan, we have so many examples from the studio. And
So many.
as I was looking at pictures, I found this fantastic googly eye portrait in clay. So marble, clay, paint, any way to express the idea of portraiture seems to be valid. This clay face was making this face that made me think about a composition called the scream. How many of us use our emotions as smiley face, sad face, uh, different frowns? So I asked Ishaan to please come up with some ideas of what else can we do to make portraits and maybe show a little bit more of what we made in the studio.
Absolutely. So Nitza, I was looking at the dictionary because I wanted to be prepared for today's video and I wanted to tell people what a portrait is. But every dictionary I looked at had a different definition of portrait. And I started to ask artists, and different artists have different definitions of portrait. So I was thinking, like this definition says it's a representation of a person, usually showing the face. And I thought of so many portraits that show so much more than the face. And that is just as much a part of them as their faces, their fashion, what they like to wear every day, that's a part of them too. The environment they're in, they could be in the park. Maybe they like to hang out in the park. Maybe they like to hang out somewhere else. That's also a part of them. So I disagreed with that definition a little bit. And just like that, every definition I looked at, I disagreed with a little bit. So this reminded me of a painting that an artist at our studio made of her daughter. And she painted this painting, and believe it or not, it's just this big. That's it. It's tiny. And she made this painting of her daughter in her neighborhood her daughter is very fashionable, always dressed 10 out of 10, right? So made this lovely painting of her dressed really well, hanging out in her neighborhood. And I thought all of those elements really showed who the person was that she was painting.
Cool. Do you remember the time where one of our volunteers, Aisha, was leaving and we thought we should make a portrait of her in the studio, but it's not just like the head and shoulders, it's her in the studio She was so happy when she received it, and we still keep in touch with most of our volunteers. If you have one that you especially got connected to, let me know and I'll tell them hello for you.
Absolutely. And that painting showed everything. It showed the whole studio. It showed how she interacts with the studio, how she likes to roam around. So I thought that was really cool. You know, Nitza, I have a surprise for you.
No.
So, you know, Nitza, I'm not always happy with you. You know, we've been friends a long time, and sometimes, you know, you have bad days, I have bad days, and some days I think Nitza is fantastic and she's always smiling, but some days she frowns and she's very upset. And I realized that when you make a portrait of somebody, how you feel about that person can be brought into the portrait you make of them. So I made two portraits of you.
No way.
I made one where I'm feeling really good about you. I'm feeling, that's mostly how I feel about you. You know, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling happy when I think about Nitza and hanging out with Nitza and making art with Nitza. And it's really happy. And, you know, sometimes Nitza's in a bad mood. So I made another portrait of evil Nitza, of Nitza when she's in a bad mood. And you'll very rarely see this side of her, but I get to see it sometimes. So I made this other painting. So if a person on the outside saw the good one, they would naturally think that Nitza is probably this great, happy person. However, if the only painting they saw of Nitza, the portrait they saw, was the evil one, they would think she was probably very unpleasant, not very nice. So you can bring your perception or your idea about the person into the overall mood of the painting.
But wait a minute. Why are you showing everyone that I'm letting my gray hair grow?
I think that is just as much a part of you
Yes.
as anything else.
I'm actually really proud of it, of not coloring my hair anymore, Ishaan. And as much as I'm frowning and I look angry, this is such an amazing painting. I really congratulate you for that, Ishaan. And it's so much fun working with you in such difficult times where we can't go to the studio and even just walk around to get the energy out of it. So if you guys can make portraits, maybe make portraits of Ishaan. He would love to see your interpretation or make any kind of portrait in any style you like and share it with us at aimnitza@gmail.com. And thanks for joining us. Thank you, Wilma, for inspiring us. And love you all. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.